Namaste and good afternoon, all. A warm welcome to this online safety summit presented by She the People TV. She the People is India's first women's channel inspired by real stories and on a flight to change the discourse on, about, and for women. A quick question before we begin. What do you think when you see the phrase safe public spaces? For most of us, we see well lit streets, marketplaces bustling with people of all genders, and safe public transport. But do we consider the less physical world? The online place is a legitimate public space as well. And like the streets, marketplaces, and the buses around, these are prone to incidences of harassment against women. A woman on the internet may be subject to threats, worse, forced to get off social networking sites or communities. Does this intimidate you? Fortunately, the solution rests with us, the citizens of the internet, alias netizens. We all have a right to feel safe in our own skin and participate in the world in all of its forms. But how? Let us decode it in this interesting discussion titled Creating Safe Spaces for Women What Can Help? Hosted by SheLovesData. My name is Mital, and outside my work with a leading consulting organization, I co lead the Indian chapter of SheLovesData. We work across 17 countries to empower women for career reboots and corporate comebacks through upskilling, mentorship, and dense network of women leaders. Fostering sisterhood for any woman to ask for and lean on is a common tenet we share with the She the People organization. I'm thrilled to have an August panel comprising of Usha, Nirali, and Shreekumar for this discussion. Let me take the privilege of introducing them. Usha Karimpanakkil leads the cybersecurity for General Mills at India. She has over 22 years of versatile experience across multiple functions and domains from sales to IT operations. She's a mentor, speaker, and a podcaster. The second panelist, Nirali Bhatia, is a cyber psychologist and a psychotherapist. She is founder of organization called Cyber BAP, an anti-cyberbullying organization. She also is director of V4 Web Technologies, a prominent TEDx speaker and corporate trainer. Our third panelist today is Shreekumar Nair, founder and CEO of Vinca Cyber, a leading cybersecurity company with about 3 decades of experience across brands like Juniper, Dell. Shreekumar is on a mission to create 5,000 jobs through his organization. I look forward for a thought-provoking discussion with you all. The internet, for all its glories and opportunities, does unfortunately feature threats and challenges. The effects of cyber harassment can be debilitating and have real life consequences. What kind of online safety issues exist around us, and what is regarded as cyber harassment? Over to you, three panelists from Usha, Nirali, and Sri Kumar to give us your views. Usha?
I can start. Yes, thank you so much, Neetal, for the lovely introduction and for having us on the panel. So, cyber harassment can take multiple forms, right? And starting from the well-known phishing, where you could be enticed to compromise your sensitive information and for financial gains. But there is an emotional side to this as well, like cyber stalking, where someone is followed across multiple apps, bullying, trolling, doxing, where your personal information is threatened to be shared again for with the motive of financial gains and exploiting someone otherwise. Grooming, where especially women and young girls could be exploited, approached and then later exploited for multiple motives, including financial gains. Catfishing, where somebody's impersonating, pretending to be someone else, Again, mostly for financial gains, but there could be so much more to it. So, when you think about it, it's a bad world. But, that also gives us an opportunity to think about how to prevent it.
Absolutely. Nirali?
So, thank you so much, She the People and She Loves Data for this opportunity. As my co-panelist has already explained some of the various forms of cyber harassment. But if I have to explain in a layman's language, when we are using technology or internet technology to either harass, embarrass, or threaten someone, it does account to cybercrime, and there are multiple types and ways in which harassment online occurs. From a simple name calling or a teasing to a massive threat or an attack. It, the entire umbrella is very huge, targeting individuals, starting right from children to senior citizens, to women, to men, to organizations, to data networks. So it's a huge gambit, and it is a negative side of this entire cyberspace.
Thank you, Nirali. Shreekumar?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity. This is a very close to heart I would say topic, because girls, women are one of the ones who have to be protected, and I see that more and more we are in a digital age. Lots of activities are there in the digital age where women are active and trawling, cyber phishing. Now you have heard of Jamtaras, you have heard so many things, and it's very important to protect one's reputation, finances, and image online. I look forward to this session.
Thank you, Shri. You've mentioned about Jamtara, and I think financial frauds are escalating over time. From Aam Aadmi to Aam Aadmi Party Supremo's daughter, cyber criminals in the country are sparing no one, be it educated or not so privileged class. For instance, a lady who was trying to sell second-hand sofa on a popular sale purchase online platform was approached by a buyer. Both of them agreed for a deal. The imposter sent her a QR code and asked her to scan it in order to receive the amount first. He transferred a small amount into her account to establish the authenticity and then debited rupees 34,000 from her account. Sad. I also witnessed a similar incident with a security guard whose money was swindled by a look-alike app. What kind of financial frauds can happen in personal online space, Usha?
So yes, there is the financial fraud is prevalent everywhere, and anybody you rightly mentioned, Mital, could fall prey to it. Whether it is educated folks, uneducated, privileged, underprivileged, everybody is susceptible. And what is important to note is that you can't get away from it because we are constantly on the online space. We are, be it online shopping, online payments, money transfer, and then of course our social media platforms. So this could come in any shape and form, and most of the time is most prevalent is a phishing link, right? It could be on your email, it could be through your text, WhatsApp, anything. Click on this link and you're getting a lottery. Click on this link and you get a free credit card redeem option. Click on this link and change your password because you may lose access to your sensitive information. Click on this link, your KYC needs to be updated. So it could take all kinds of shape and form, and then people could just be caught unaware. The only recommendation is that just be careful, tread on the line of caution before you're clicking on this link, and always double check. Use that option to check with the bank, who has sent the link, where the authenticity of the link and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I remember a saying, nothing is for free. And if it is for free, then you are the product or the service. So,
That is
moving
true.
on. Yes. Shreekumar, you are into cybersecurity. What are the prominent ways in which scamsters access your data?
There is no single way to do things right. Okay, and you are everywhere now. Let me say, you went to Kashmir, and then you post your family pictures there. Somebody knows you're not at home. They come there. Okay, okay. Very, 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 very beautiful things. You show your house around to your friends. That video is leaked. Somebody says, "Oh, this is where you keep your locker. Oh, this is where your cupboards are." So it is as simple as that. Okay, you don't need to be very, very high tech to steal things. Yesterday, I found one article very interesting. Many times we share screenshot, we share our desktop photographs. Do you know in that the icons are there? People can see what kind of OS are you using, what kind of softwares are you using, and they can come into you. Okay, there are many ways. If you thought that you are clever, understand one thing: he is better than us, or she is better than us. I don't know who are they. They are all the unknown players, as you say, actors, and it is like climate. Okay, उनको कोई भेदभाव नहीं, ऊंच नीच नहीं, nothing. It सबके लिए एक ही है. It is pray and pray. जहाँ weakness है वहाँ पे they'll attack. Okay, it does not differentiate between, as you rightly said, a king or a pauper. Okay, you leave footprints. Remember one thing, Corona also aided to we being on a digital journey much more higher than earlier. Today we want to have everything on the app, everything. Okay, and then what happens? You start clicking things, you want to think faster. Now, unfortunately, the search provider does not have enough filters to put the scamster out. Whosoever has paid that money to him or her, the company, it will come on the top page. You click the link, you don't know it's a genuine link or not. You spoke about 34,000, I speak about 27 lakhs. A very, very beautiful case. Instagram, one of the ladies gets a prize and she posts it on FB and all those things. And then her Insta is hacked. Then her friends reach out to her, 17 friends. They are on message with the hacker. He sends them a link. They think it's a genuine thing. And from 40,000 to some 7, 8 lakhs, 27 lakhs gone. A genuine thing. Okay, and everybody was interested to get that prize because she won some $1,000 on some online thing. So there are many ways to entice, and it is always like this. The Menakas are there to entice the Vishwamitra's meditation.
I really like that analogy. Thank you, Shreekumar. Nirali, what steps do you think should we take to prevent financial frauds? And if at all a fraud happens, what actions could we take to correct them?
Sure. So first and foremost, all Indian citizens should save one number, that is 1930. This is a cybercrime helpline number exclusively for financial frauds. Step number two, as soon as money is deducted from your account, we call that initial hour as a golden hour. Immediately call up your bank and ask them to stop or freeze the transaction from going further, and then go to the police station, make a report. Police will also tell the bank to trace that and stop the money from moving from accounts to accounts. If you act out on these steps immediately, no matter how big or small the amount is, your chances of getting your money back are very high. The next thing that you must remember as preventions. Now, this is if the incident has occurred. So these are the steps that you can take. Uh, for preventing, there are a few etiquettes or hygiene factors that we must all follow. So, number one, never ever access any financial app or any app where you are going to do a transaction on a public Wi Fi. Public Wi Fi's are the hubs for all these hackers and scamsters to get a track of all your transactions, all your logins. So, from a public Wi Fi, be it a Starbucks, be it on your railways or at the airport, if you're going to log into your banking app, you are compromising its security. Number two, remember to receive a payment. You have to do nothing. You don't have to scan anything. You don't have to click on anything. Nothing means nothing at all. It is only when you have to make a payment is where you may have to scan or you may have to click on certain things. On internet, clicking on something is as good as giving your house keys to a stranger. You don't know what they're going to use for. So when you're not sure, always prefer to choose to do, scan the code, because there is a placard done. Suppose if you are using, today digital payments are very common and we don't want to discourage people from doing it. All they need to do is remember, for receiving money, nothing you have to do except for giving your own QR code to them or giving your own number to them, nothing else. But to pay, make a payment wherever, suppose you are doing it for a vendor from where you, bought vegetables or something, ask him for his QR code or a number, cross check, is this your account where the money is going, and then make the payment. So these are very simple rules that we all can apply. And last but the most important, for all your financial transactions, whether you're shopping online or anywhere else, try and keep a separate card, especially when you're using card payments. So, for example, when you're doing a Netflix subscription or an Amazon subscription, you need to have card is the only way to firstly make a payment, and you need to save in your card number. Credit card companies are very happy to offer free credit cards to you. Take them. Keep very limited transaction limit on that. So if at all that data is leaked or hacked, if your card is, your card number and its CVV is also hacked or something, your risk capacity is maybe for that. If you're using it only for subscriptions online, you know that, okay, maximum is 10,000 or maximum is 5,000 is what is required for me. Set that limit to that card. That in a month, I only do 5,000 word transaction, uske baad block my card. Then next month again, after 30 days, again, it will be reactivated. So these are the ways we can safeguard our payments where we don't know the sources very well and yet we have to take a chance. So calculated risk is what we go ahead with.
I completely reckon with these, Nirali, and 1930 was a revolution. Maybe I was not mindful enough, but it is a good point for all the viewers to note the helpline from government for financial frauds. Let me now wear the mother's hat or a parent hat and talk to you, Nirali, because you're a cyber psychologist as well. Exposure of young children to internet has increased dramatically with pandemic. Online classes, games, various cohorts, and the peer pressure. It can get very overwhelming for kids. What can parents do to protect children from online mischief mongers and also boost their mental wellness? Nirali?
Sure. Thank you, Mital, for bringing in the parenting hat, and that was one of the reasons my entry into this entire awareness domain as well, being a parent myself. Uh, yes, we post pandemic, all of us have entered the digital world, unfortunately unprepared. And now there is no U turn. So, even for our children, right from education to entertainment, mainstream communication, everything is through digital media. So, I'm not an advocate of saying that, hey, don't give them the mobiles or don't let them access. But there are certain ways in which we can make sure that our children have safe experience online. So I'll divide it into age groups. When your child is under age of 6, try and keep their activity or their screen time under an hour. Divide it into short spans, like 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 4 slots you give them. That should be good enough. And use only child friendly browsers, child friendly YouTube. So YouTube has a child friendly version, YouTube for children, Google for kids. So there are different options available, and keep only one single device. So if the child is using mother's device, let that be the only device he accesses, not multiple. It becomes easier to track their activities and also easier to keep the hygiene of that device very clean and simple if your child is under 6. If your child is between 6 to 13, this is the time the exposure to gaming world begins. So if you're giving them a device, like usually children in metro cities start with an iPad or so, to for their gaming experiences and all. Again, the rule of single device, make sure that the screen time is under to 2.5 hours. These are as per the guidelines. Uh, I'm not saying that include the school time in it, because a lot of schools and colleges are still having these options of some days it's work from or a study from home as well. So not that, but the other activities that they do online should be kept under 2 hours to max 2.5 hours, divided into 30 minute slots, not at a stretch. And similar hygiene, that make sure on that device you have a good antivirus. If it's a non-Apple device, antivirus is a must. You also ensure that they are using only child-friendly browsers and applications. Introduce them to read the apps, all those statistics. Whenever you download an app, there are star ratings. Educate them on the significance of those apps, and educate them to start using their common sense. Suppose if they're downloading a game which does not require access to their mic, they need to go and disable that. So these are some small education things that we as parents can start with them between 6 to 30. And during this phase, if you have to introduce them to a personal device, then please use an app which is by Google called Google Family Link. It's a beautiful app. It's not just for children. Even if you're senior parents, you're introducing them to an internet enabled device, it is an app that you must all start with. This Google Family Link, you can Google it and read about it later. It allows you to completely monitor, control the access of the device that you're giving to your child. So you can set the time limits, you can set the app limits which they can access. You can also keep an eye and a watch on what activities are they doing online. It works very well until age of 12, 13. Now, if your children are above 13, that's where the game changes. Their need for privacy and being trusted is on high. Teenage sets in, peer pressure comes in. So, family links, now they would want to separate out and they would say, hey, mom, I need my privacy also. So, that's where establishing a good, open, friendly environment in house is the key to a good cyber safe experiences. Providing them a non-judgmental space, understanding that these are new age challenges. When we grew up as children, when we did not have internet, we had different forms of challenges, and our parents had to take that chance and a risk. Similarly, in this generation, which is born in technology era, there are going to be different challenges. So be a good listener as a parent, bond with them over technology, learn from them, ask them. If your child comes back telling you that I want to play this game, if you put it under a cover, he may go and play it on a friend's device, or she may go and play it on a friend's device. Instead, take that as an opportunity. Sit with them, say, hey, come on, teach me also, let's play one game. You, as a parent, will have the wisdom to foresee what could go wrong, as in, is it asking for camera? Is it a possibility they play with strangers? So while playing with them in their language, you explain to them. So that's what works for children which are 13 to 16 and above. Basically, it's trust building, having an open space where they can come and tell you their experiences. If we as parents start making a judgment, and most of the times parents have a reaction, keep that device away. All problem is Instagram. It's not going to work, because for children, that's not a different world. That's an extension of their real world. We cannot go back saying we never used to play. So that's the response you will get, because this is their world, right? So learn to accept. And you cannot, as parents, cannot get away saying that I don't understand technology. I'm not saying you have to be from technical background. All you need to know is a little, bit about your child's world, what's happening, that you should be aware what is Instagram, you should be aware what is Snapchat. It takes hardly 10-15 minutes. Install it, explore it, remove it. But you're aware and you can foresee that, and you can have an open dialogue with your child.
I feel you, Nirali. As a mother of young children, I keep reminding myself not to compare these times with our times. And I also reckon it is so important to have them comforted and educated about these. Awareness is where it all begins. Let's move on to a different stage that we all are venturing in, working professionals. Usha, what awareness will you like to create so that working women, or for that matter, professionals, do not fall prey to cyber accidents? Usha?
Yes, sure. So I think what is unique about working professionals is that you are actually using your company device, company issued device, and there is a sense of trust that automatically builds in, right? Because you feel that your company has put security controls on the device, so you are relatively safe. But still, there are ways in which you can be targeted, and not personally targeted, but it's kind of laying a net, and whoever falls in that. So exactly, phishing. And phishing is still the most prevalent tactic that scammers use as far as employees are concerned, but it has evolved in shape and form. So there are, like there could be your vendors getting compromised, and phishing email coming through a known, regularly used and interacted email. There could be scammers impersonating as a senior leadership. There could be emails coming as tech support. So we've seen a huge increase in vendor account compromise, tech support scams, and especially texting, which we call as smishing, from senior leadership. And a lot of times new employees in the organization fall for this, because you are new, you're still understanding the system, who to call, when to call, and of course you want to make an impression, you want to help, you want to be useful, right? So if you're getting a text from your managing director, why didn't you go procure this gift card for me, you want to be useful, right? You would go and do that. So uh, so those kind of things keep happening. And what, in terms of awareness, if you have to just generalize it, what I usually tell people is that if you are being asked to share sensitive information, and in a corporate setup, your credentials are the most dear, should be the most dear to you, right? So if you're sharing that kind of information, please think twice. Especially nowadays, in an office setup, you don't need to give out credentials on and on, because everything is single sign on. You should be able to navigate your way within your environment pretty easily. Second, if you're being asked to make a financial transaction, personally or for the organization, on behalf of the organization, verify that. Where is that leading to? Why is that being asked? Even if it is a known vendor, customer, why are they asking for it? If you have means of contacting them by another email or a phone number which you have usually used, not the one on the email that you just received, right? Call them up and check whether they ask for it. And third, if you're being asked to make a decision which can eventually have a financial implication, for example, a vendor asking you to change their payment terms, or bank account details, it's part of your process, you are supposed to do it, right? But eventually that can have financial implications. Again, go back and check, verify, did they ask for it? So you just have to be, because it's become kind of part of your day-to-day operations, and these things can just sneak in from anywhere. And of course, if you're browsing the internet, your company browser is not the safest, so don't click on links. Still, don't download softwares which are free, like you said. Especially in the corporate environment, nothing is free. Enterprise versions of everything comes at a price. And I'm sure companies have a process in place to get that software for you if you need it. So just be careful. I think it's just I think you have a lot more at stake when you're at in an organizational setup, because I think what I always say is that you could put the best of technologies in place, but one click from that one employee can bring the organization harm.
Moving on, let's move towards data privacy. From privacy data breach to gender based hate speech to sexual harassment, women continue to face various abuses online. New methods of duping and blackmailing people are escalating. In one of the ways, a fraudster sends you a link for a video call, then records the call, edits it with some pornographic content, and then threatens the victim. What is really in your control? Harassment normally happens with leak of or display of personal information. What precautions do you suggest to upkeep data privacy, Usha?
Yeah, I think some of it Nirali actually covered earlier. So starting with which app you're using, where are you getting it from, right? So get those applications and access the websites from an authentic source. So especially if you're on Android Play Store, don't download it from off the internet somewhere. Again, what is on the app store, we would believe that an app store and an Play Store would have checked the authenticity for the app. But again, I would highly encourage that check with a friend or a family who's used it, right? There are so many out there, and you don't have control on, if you go to Play Store or Google's app store, there are so many. I sometimes wonder who's even using these. The other thing is, like I think earlier Nirali mentioned is, what are you sharing? With whom are you sharing? What do you want to actually share those information, right, on a public platform? Most of these apps now, Facebook, LinkedIn, public social media platforms have a privacy setting. So there's you can actually control, who can send you a friend request, who can see your mobile number or your email address, who can access the posts that you're sharing. So all of that is, to some extent, is in your control. So I think wherever possible, use those means. And then I always, this is what I tell my daughter, is that if you think something is suspicious, have a conversation, like reach out and please discuss before you start and indulging into any kind of transaction. When I say transaction, it could be just communication, but just be wary of that.
Great. Nirali, what are some safety measures that you suggest we follow on apps, on social networking sites, in our financial transactions, which you already briefly covered, and also maintaining our online profile?
Right. So we call it cyber hygiene. There are hygiene for devices, there are hygiene for browsers that we need to follow, there are hygienes for social media. So I'll briefly touch upon all of them. For devices, like I said, that ensure that for all your applications, your two-factor authentication is on, and your antivirus is in place, your operating systems are very well updated, and the most important, many a times we download the apps for a specific purpose, and when the purpose is completed, we forget to remove those apps. While in the background, so many of them are running, and we don't know what all data they are accessing. So when you are downloading the apps for specific purposes, go back after the purposes. So let's say if you've gone for an holiday and maybe you had to use a specific app over there to access the local transportation or something, and you've downloaded that app, or for example Zoom car, I use Zoom car when I'm traveling, but rest of the time when I'm in Bombay I don't need it. So that's the first thing you do, that when you come back from the holiday, remove the app because the purpose is solved and you can reinstall it. Secondly, for devices, what you need to do is whenever you have time, make it a rule, like maybe, every night, just take up one app, go and check all the privacy settings. Does it have an access to your photos, to your locations? And all it requires is a simple filter of common sense. For example, if it is a medicine delivery app, all it requires is location because address is required. It does not require microphone, it does not require camera access, it does not require contact access. Go and disable all of that. Even for the location, you can always set it to when in use or ask me next time. So these are very simple changes that we need to make, which can safeguard us. A lot of times when we are installing apps, we are in a rush because we want to get done faster, so we don't pay attention, we just say I agree, I agree, I agree. But then make it a practice to go back before sleeping, instead of scrolling on Instagram and going and seeing the reels. One day in a week, put into your mobile device and check those particular settings, that where have you kept the locations on, where have you kept the access on, and remove them if it's not required. So that is for the device hygiene. Now, when it comes to your browser hygiene, of course, using incognito is a very good idea. But besides that, the websites that you visit, all of them, ask you for cookies access. So in your browsers, there are settings where you can see all the preferences that you've given. Go and uncheck them. Or you can clear the entire cookies history. So that clears your, traces, and wherever if you have left any data behind that, it takes care of that. So in those terms, you can manage that. Now we come to social media hygiene. So the first and the foremost thing is a two-factor authentication that should be on for every single social networking app that you're using. Second is they all ask you for your personal information, your personal identification information, which is your date of birth, your gender, your photograph, etc. And it allows you a choice whether to make it public or not. So decide for yourself whether you want it public or you not. If you're wanting it, then that's a risk that you're taking. If it's in your calculated risk arena, go for it, or else make sure that it is separate. Second is try and keep your personal and professional social networking profile separate. So your personal profile can be a closed profile where you only allow people you know in person as well. While your public profile should not have any personal information, and it could be related to your work or to your hobby or whatever you want to promote online, where you may have random people coming in and posting, but then the risk profile over there is very minimal because you're not sharing any personal information. The third is managing all those settings in terms of tagging and all. Every social networking app allows us to make sure we get an intimation of who is tagging us, so that it's not directly posted on our timelines, and we can have a clean and neat timeline over there. So we can go and ensure those settings. In fact, apps like Facebook also have a little more in-depth security measures and privacy measures, where they are asking your consent for sharing your information, for sharing what kind of ads you want to see, etc., etc. So spend some time in those settings as well. And if you don't understand what settings to take care, there are tons of videos available online to guide you and to educate you on this. So these are some hygienes that we can follow. But above all, one simple mantra on internet to follow is zip it. The less you share, safer you are. It's so a very simple analogy that I use always in all my safety trainings is visualize internet or so especially social media platforms like a hoarding outside your bedroom window. Whatever you're putting out there is going to be visible and accessible to anyone and everyone. So you have to be very mindful of what I'm putting. Do I want my number out over there? Do I want my specific photo out over there? Is how I decide. Then you later cannot say that, look, some people are misusing it. Well, you have made it public. So that's the risk that you're taking. What we believe is that our safety is in our hands. Then we go on to others that despite of following all the safety measures, if I'm still falling in trouble, then I do reach out to other resources where they can help us, as in moving on to police and government and etc. etc.
I will remember the metaphor you placed, Nirali. And I am remembering my mother because one of the childhood sayings or teachings that she imparted was secret is a secret as long as it is with you. Once you have leaked it even to one person or shared it with one person, it is his secret, not yours. So the more vigilant and mindful we are, safer we are. Let's talk to Shreekumar and zoom in on cyber security tools. Shreekumar, what are some handy tools that you think we should invest in on personal computers and gadgets?
Thank you. I don't, before I go there, I think this is one important thing we should do that we practice as a family. Do I need it? Do I want it? Can I live without it? At least if you can answer this little bit, I think a lot of things can help us, because ultimately everybody wants some self acknowledgement. Okay, so everybody wants some accolade. Somebody wants to be known for something, and that's why we go and seek for acknowledgement always. Some of the things, as you rightly put it, like Usha and Nirali really put on a lot of beautiful thoughts. I think there is none left to be answered more. However, some basic things definitely you need to look at what upgrade your OS continuously, operating software continuously. Okay, many a times people use not genuine software. Okay, so that is, we try to save a little money there, but then we get into other problems, because what happens is, if it's not genuine, it is not supported by the manufacturer. He does not give the right kind of patches, because the patches means security updates, feature updates. So that is very, very important. Second is, genuinely please at least have an antivirus. Okay, which is the next generation, slightly more expensive, but little next generation. And you can find that beautiful one. There are good brands available. They are not very expensive, but this is very, very important. Third thing, ensure that, as rightly said, clean up the mess as you go. Cookies. Every website wants to track you. Okay, because you are the product. You are the product, nothing else. They have made money there. They're going to make more and more money. And there's nothing called personal space anymore. The moment you're on Facebook, you already sold it. You're on Google, you're already there. So there is nothing like personal space now. People talk about data privacy. I still have a difficulty understanding what private are we talking about, or what privacy are we talking about. You're everywhere. You go to a telephone shop and you give your number for recharging, you leave a number there. People take videos, as I rightly said, they morph it, they change the things, and they start creating problems for you. So first and foremost, have a camera thing off, especially for women. If you buy that thing, it will be good. Or put the sticker whenever you don't want it. Don't leave your computer on. Do not connect the printer always. If at all you don't need the browser, switch it off. Okay, some basic thing like how our parents said, switch off the light when not in use. That is the simple principle. Otherwise, the basic hygiene remains basic, and the more basic we go, life is very clean. Else, we get into a lot of other things. And rightly said, you choose your friends. Like today, when I get a call, the immediate next thing is, if I don't like that call, I'll just block it. I just block SMSs. I just block calls because I don't want them. And it is tempting. And then suddenly they'll ask you to get into it. And secondly, some of the softwares what you download, okay, Usha and Nirali will also agree. They come with key logging softwares. They come with so many other things. Okay, you click, okay, you want to make a word into PDF, you go to online, but do you know what goes behind that? People
The
hide
malwares.
malware and ransomware behind that. Okay, you don't know how you get used. You will be surprised if I tell you, many of our computers you don't even know. But the moment you on it, you're actually submitting your computer's space or the thing for cryptos. They come and hack your system so that they can juice out the capacity for that. The many things happen, and there's no single rule which can say how we can be safe. But definitely, like I have definitely told my daughter not to keep the camera on, to ensure that cookies are clean, to have certain hygiene. Passwords, very, very important. Typically, passwords you can put like Shreekumar 123 or something else. But ideally speaking, it should be a long sentence. Okay, which with some numbers and all those things, because it goes more than 15, 20, 30 weeks. Like, I love my bullet very much, or something like that. But it can go long. People find it difficult to hack. So some hygiene is very, 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 very important. Secondly, do not share your personal credit card details anywhere. As you said rightly, for receiving money, you don't need to give anything, just your number. Okay, and many times you will see for receiving money, people ask you OTP. That's not required. So you asked me a question on personal computers, but I went a little beyond the brief because there's nothing personal here. Thank you.
No, thank you. I think you wonderfully outlined everything, touching on all the aspects. In spite of all these precautions, if at all we are cyberbullied or there are online trolls or inappropriate or threatening comments, how do we respond to them, Nirali?
Thank you for asking this, Mittal, because like the Jamta tagline, "Sabka number aayega." So that is a bad world out there, and I won't be surprised, if someday even we are facing any kind of harassment. So we definitely need to know. So when you're being harassed on a social networking platform, first thing that you need to do is immediately report or flag it on that platform itself. See, these platforms work on algorithms. If you don't flag that content, it's very difficult, because today, especially in India, a lot of us use regional languages to communicate even on these social networking. Their algorithms automatically cannot understand the regional languages and flag off that kind of content. So it is on to us that if we come across an inappropriate content or something that is very mean and very harassing to us or embarrassing for us or hurtful or troll, we must flag it immediately. That's number one. There are reporting mechanisms. If it continues, then there are reporting mechanisms on every single social networking site where you go and report. Ask your family and friends also to report those accounts. You can even, you can report and block a comment as well as the account. And there are multiple categories, so choose the appropriate category under which, so that it matches the community guidelines and you can report. Despite of all this, if it still continues, so understand that the wounds of cyber harassment are invisible wounds. See, when you fall down and you get a plaster, you're wearing a cast, people can see, people can empathize with you. They understand you're under pain. But when it comes to cyber harassment or cyberbullying or trolling, any kind of nuisance online, the wounds are very invisible. So people don't empathize and the victim keeps suffering. Even sometimes out of shame and guilt, they don't speak up. So the point over here is sharing. If you don't have a safe place to share, someone you trust, reach out to organizations. I run one such organization called CyberBAP, which is an anti-cyberbullying organization where we provide guidance and counseling to the victims of non-financial cyber harassment. So you can reach out to organizations like ours. And lastly, report it on our national cybercrime portal, which is www.cybercrime.gov.in. They have a wonderful provision and a separate tab to report crimes against women and children. You can share the screenshots of the harassment. You can choose to be anonymous in reporting, and or else you can report and track. I will always advocate report and track, because if you're serious about that complaint, you need to track it also. The moment you make an online complaint, you get an acknowledgement PDF, which you can save it. Within a week, you will get a call from your local police station to reconfirm your report if the harassment is still on. And if you want to pursue that as a report, they will ask you to come down to the police station, go with that PDF, submit it over there as with the evidence of screenshots, and then take your case forward. A simple thing is, and unfortunately we see this, that a lot of women shy away from reporting. Sometimes it is simply because of the guilt that they are going through, or the shame that how could I fall into this, and sometimes it is due to lack of family support. All I'm trying to tell you is there is nothing to be ashamed of. This is a new age crime where it's not necessarily your fault. And even if it is your fault, if you learn from your mistake is rectifiable. So there is never something like, oh, I can't do anything about it. There's always a solution. All you need to do is ask help.
Thank you, Nirali. It is in our best interest to protect ourselves and our young from the perils of cyber life, and we should not underestimate its seriousness. Effects of cyber harassment can be debilitating. I'm relieved that we learned useful tools and strategies for preventing and addressing online harassment with our decorated panelists. Three important areas of risk when it comes to e-safety are content, contact, and conduct. Let us be mindful about them and remember the pearls of cyber wisdom that our panelists gave. Nothing is free, public Wi-Fi or free gift. You are the product if it is free. So determine what it can really cost. 1930, the helpline for financial frauds, golden hour, 60 minutes after a fraud happens, take the corrective actions, use scan code for paying, and manage your financial instruments well, set limits. Uh, Panelists also told us about the cyber regulatory support which is available. We understood how do we handle children. Google Family Link was one important suggestion. Two-factor authentication and regular updates on your OS and antivirus. Most important of all, as we all together venture into an unknown era of digital complexities, let's maintain the non judgmental family bond and always speak to someone more knowledgeable. I'm so grateful to have you, Usha, Nirali, and Shreekumar, for the time invested in creating online safe spaces for women. While She the People and She Loves Data continue to drive prudence in facets affecting women growth, let us take control and charge of our online safety. Thank you. Have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was wonderful.